Welcome to Moments with Marianne. Allow me to interrupt your train of thought with something that may be one of the most interesting things you hear today. This is Marianne-Pestana, and we have two very special guests today. Our first guest today is David Ibarra, and he's here to share with us his new book, Stop Drifting, Become the Switch Master of Your Own Thought and Pivot to Positive. Now, David is a well-known leadership consultant, speaker, and author from Salt Lake City. At 28 years old, he started his first business, beginning with an entrepreneurial career that spanned the hospitality, automotive, and leadership consulting industries. He's the founder of eLeader Tech, IBG, David Ibarra Enterprise, and Think and Grow Rich Institute, Latin America. So let's welcome to the show, David Ibarra.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
You know, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about your new book. I have to ask, what inspired you to write this?
Well, as I go through my consulting career, I've noticed things that just happen over and over again at every single company that I visit and try to help. And it's almost it's like I'm in Groundhog's Day with the same number of folks that are living in a negative state of mind and the very, very few that are in a positive state. And so I thought it would be fun to share the story of my experience in a fiction-like book, but I can assure you everything within the book actually happened. I just accumulated different experiences into different characters to share what is common and to help people understand that what they go through in a negative way, in a negative state, attracts more negative, and it does not have to be that way. And sometimes in a fictional short story, it's easier to grasp the lessons than in other self-help books that you'll read.
Yes, it seems that when we have those stories, people really can identify with one character or another. And I just love how you've really used, Think and Grow Rich as part of the principles that you've lived your life on. I'd love for you to expand on that for our listeners.
Well, I come from a very untraditional childhood. I was raised in the Utah foster care system from 1 to 14. I was dropped off by my mother, and she didn't return. And, how do you get through that? And at 14, I was in a lot of trouble and I wanted to live with my father. So they let me out, and I joined my father, my brother and I. He was 15, I was 14, in Sacramento, went through school there. Still, I had a very troubled background, a neighborhood, angry. And I wanted to be a football player. I got hurt and didn't get any college invitations. And so I'm a dishwasher, thinking it would be the most insignificant job of my life at Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor restaurant. And then I had a chance meeting with Robert E. Farrell, who came to tell me how important my dishwasher job was. And I thought, man, this guy is out of his mind. But the next day he had a meeting, and I'll never forget, he stood up and he had us all stand and he says, okay, what's our purpose? And he expected for us to recite back our purpose statement. None of us knew it. He looked over at the manager with a little glare and a smile, and he says, well, let me share. Farrell's features fabulous food and fantastic fountain fantasies for frolicking, fun-filled, festive families. Then he said, say it with me, louder, louder. Don't ever open this restaurant without seeding your subconscious with what we do, because it will direct you in ensuring that people leave happy, smiling, with a little dose of happy-itis. Man, after that meeting, I stopped Mr. Farrell. I waited until everybody was gone, and then I asked him, I said, Mr. Farrell, how does it feel to know what you want? And he says, nothing starts until you do. He says, hold on. He went to his car, came back, handed me a book, told me if I'd read it 3 times, highlight the areas I didn't understand or had an impact on me, that he would be my personal mentor. And he owned 25 stores, but he came about every 2 months. And I did. He became my mentor, and the book was Think and Grow Rich. And since 18, it's been something I've studied. Today, I'm a disciple of Dr. Hill's work, and I'm the largest licensee for seminars on Think and Grow Rich, the science of success philosophy in the world. I have China, Singapore, Central America, Mexico, the Latin Caribbean. And I just think back, that dishwasher who didn't know where he was going today is the largest licensee for the seminars of Think and Grow Rich. So I'm a true disciple of the work.
My goodness, what a great story. I love that. I remember going to Farrell's as a kid, so it just
Mm-hmm.
putting that all together, having that connection with the owner. I mean, how inspiring is that?
Well, a powerful lesson was learned there: purpose and the theming of what you do. And people don't remember what you say and do, but they always remember how you made them feel. And the people that remember Farrell's remember gatherings. They have great memories of who they were with. By the way, 10 years later, after starting as a dishwasher, I became the youngest franchise owner of Farrell's and moved back to Salt Lake, where I opened Farrell's. And it took me 10 years, but I was able to go from dishwasher to restaurant owner in 10 years. And not bad for a kid who had no money.
Yeah, that is such an inspiring story. And it's all about mindset, and also I think having that great mentor that was able to encourage you to continue on that path of thinking positive. What are some of the things that really stick out in your mind when you're working with people that kind of holds them back?
Well, I shared with them. I developed in the book, in the second chapter, I talk about the brain model, which I developed from the work of Dr. Napoleon Hill and a medical doctor that works with many terminally ill patients that from the work from Mexico City. But I share it in the book. And what it is that you are not going to get what you want if you are in a negative state of mind. And the way the brain works, 80% subconscious, then its only job is to do what is seated in it, 15% the conscious, which directs the seating of the subconscious and then receives it back to enact it. But the 5% that is the imagination that connects to emotion, just like a light detector to emotion to emotion, turn a light on and off, our brains attached to emotions, and they are negative or positive, joy or faith. And we seed our subconscious. Once you know how the brain worked to get you what you don't want, it's the exact same formula to seed it to get you what you want. And that's what we share in our seminars, is try to lay out why it is that you have what you have and where it came from. It came from thought, the power of thought. Once we understand that, then we can ask the next question: what is it you want? And when we determine that what that is as simple as that, then we can build the things that we need to do in order to get that. And it becomes really quite easy. It just takes personal discipline and self-initiative.
That is so impressive. But what if you have somebody that says, well, I'm really unhappy and everything's
Mhm.
going south for me. So how can I be happy?
Yes. Well, I tell you, it takes a while in your life, and part of Dr. Hill's work talks about finding your defined major purpose, and I've changed that in rewriting the material, modernizing it, is to find a goal first, find a little goal, a middle goal, a large goal, but you don't find your definite major purpose in a moment. It takes a time. I didn't find mine until I was well into my 40s, but mine is to work with adults, employed adults, who Monday morning get up and go to work quietly unhappy, suffocating in unhappiness, and slowly committing spiritual suicide because they feel they don't matter and they're not making an impact at work. Once we change that, then we send a whole new package home: a better partner, a better parent, a better neighbor, and a better city, and a better state, and I believe a better country. But it starts with one person at a time. And so I deal with that first. And look, I started life out very unhappy, believing I didn't matter. And then I figured out, how do I pivot to a positive state of mind? It starts with a smile. And I think of three things that I've developed that just absolutely made me happy. And when I think of them, I pivot to a positive state of mind. Like attracts like. Positive brings in more positive. And I am on the road of recovery, and I can push out Dr. Doubt, the uninvited whisperer that puts doubt in my mind. It is learning how to use the brain model. And we got here on earth, the game of life. We just didn't come with the instructions of how to live it. And I believe that what we do in Stop Drifting is we give the instructions of how to live a positive and productive life.
And that's what I think a lot of people are really craving to have in their life, but they're not really even sure how to get there.
Well, I tell you what, I've spent my life, and I'll continue to spend my life answering that very question, from whether it's on Wednesday nights, I do something that's called time tithing. Anybody who can't afford a performance coach, they can get on my calendar, and they have to be in a position of not being able to afford a coach. And as long as they're patient, I'll spend time with them and we'll answer those questions. And I've well over 1,000 participants in my time tithing effort of giving back.
Oh my gosh, that's so inspiring. Is that kind of based off of, Mr. Farrell doing that for you many years ago?
Well, once I achieved success, and at 28 years old, became the youngest franchisee of Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor Restaurant, I also was given the bill from Mr. Farrell of what I owed him. And that was to pay it forward and to participate in gifting the gift of time, not just your money, but time. And it was my responsibility is to give what he gave to me to others. And he told me I had to do at least 10, and I've done over 1,000. So, and I started the Ibarra Foundation for kids Latino kids like myself. It's not about grades. It's about identifying who has desire, and they might have messed up all the way to the point of gaining their desire, but they'll get a scholarship from me. And while I never graduated from college, I've paid for 105 young Latino kids to graduate from college.
You often hear that the kids that get in trouble are extremely brilliant and not really engaging in school because it's not really bringing them to a point where they're feeling like they have passion for anything.
Well, I believe that it's also they got trapped in the negative nut house, so to speak, where they received the whispers of Dr. Doubt, the adversary, and seeded their subconscious to have an attitude similar to the attitude that I had of anger. I believe I had the ability that I could be a CEO, and I own 7 companies today. We do very well, or I could have ended up in prison. And I would still been the same person. I just would have been using the brain model to see negative instead of positive. Somebody had to help teach me that. And Mr. Farrell and my 5th grade teacher, Sam Francis, were the two that helped me understand that I mattered and I could be impactful. And I didn't have to be angry. Joy is so much better than fear and hate.
Well, I applaud the work that you're doing at the Ibarra Foundation. I mean, I just think that's such an important thing to invest in our community. And I really feel like more people could really take your lead to do that. Let's talk about your book. So Stop Drifting. Why did you name it that?
Well, there's been over 2,000 higher learning institutions that have studied the gainfully employed, and it breaks out 3% are goal setters and scorekeepers. They don't work for money. They work because they want to matter. They want to dominate their market shares, etc. 10% are managers that if they're given a problem, they do not have to be asked twice to fix it, but the only difference between the two is they wait for the next assignment. 60% of the gainfully employed drift. They are drifting through life, just getting through the day, the week, the month, and hopefully they'll retire and be happy. But when they retire, they don't realize they only have 6 on average years of life left. And then 27, think of this, 1 out of 4 are so angry, so full of negativity, they want to share it with you and ruin your company. So 13% are non-drifters, and that's coined a phrase from Dr. Napoleon Hill, and 87% of society are drifting. So the name of the book came from that. Stop drifting and become the switch master of your own thought and learn to pivot to positive and live a non-drifting life. Goal setting and scorekeeping.
I know you've worked with some pretty big companies over the past.
Mm-hmm.
If you have them reach out to you and say, gosh, our workforce is really struggling, they're having a tough time connecting, where do you go with that?
Well, one is that I'll speak at any university. I think in the first week of July, I'll be in Dubai speaking. But I'll tell you is that I'll go anywhere to talk about it. But I always start off with the brain model. How does it work? And understand what thoughts are put into it. I want you to think of the thought that was put into your subconscious by you that has prevented you from getting what you want. And in the audience, I can go and people will tell you. And once you know the formula, guess what? Positive works the same way. I'll speak in a prison as to why did you get incarcerated? The brain model created it because it was seated that way, and the subconscious does not know the difference between right or wrong. So learning the game of life and the rules and how to manage the brain model is the difference. Now, once somebody understands what they did to themselves to prevent themselves from getting what they want, they are then eager because they understand the model of now seeding it correctly. Does it happen overnight? No. It's like the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Well, the law of attraction, the last word in attraction is action. Without no action, there is no attraction. So it's more complicated in that it's about changing habits. And we teach people how to go into a controlled habit, which means you have to consciously think of doing something different until it becomes internalized and becomes a success habit.
It's really empowering people to take control of their lives, in a way that's so profound.
Well, we're the only creature on earth that was given the blessing by our Creator to be in complete control of our thought if we wish to be. So you can drift or you can non-drift. Really, the choice is ours. I choose to be a non-drifter, and life is incredibly good for me. And anybody can do it if I can do it. Anybody.
So what are some tips if people are stuck in a really negative mindset that they can just kind of pivot to a more positive mindset?
Well, the first thing you have to analyze is your friends. And frankly, some of this comes directly from family members as well. But you get to choose who you hang out with. And sometimes it's, the drama and all of that discussion is what seeds it. You have to develop a specialized talent team. Know what you know what you don't know, and create friends that have that knowledge and take that knowledge and have them share it with you as if it's your own. And when people share their minds, that's where genius is experienced, because no one has all the talent within one brain. No one. So we talk about exactly how you go about developing your specialized talent team. But sometimes that does mean that you have to walk away from hanging out with some folks that are helping you maintain a negative state of mind. And if you choose to be polite and stay there, you'll never get what you want.
Yeah, that's such an important part. And it's interesting, you talk about this as developing a new habit, that it could take a little while, but I think some people go, gosh, I don't know if I have enough time to do that. Is it going to take forever? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I share with them, how do you feel now? You share, and they'll share with me, I'm suffocating in unhappiness. I'm slowly committing spiritual suicide. Well, how's it working for you? And if you want that pain to go away, it won't go away without appropriate actions. Now, we have developed a software that I received a U.S. patent on that helps take you through the readiness exercise to seed your subconscious for the next 8 hours. And we go through an exercise to seed your subconscious. It's very easy to receive sleep the way you ought to, where your conscious goes to sleep, but your subconscious does not. And in doing so, I still have 20% of my thoughts are not positive, but 80% are. And I can get out of a negative state fairly quickly. And it all starts with a smile. A smile puts you into a positive. Positive and negative are so unfriendly, they can't possess the same space at the same time. So it's learning the rule book of the game of life. And we'll provide that rule book. It starts by reading Stop Drifting. It's a fictional story that will share exactly what I'm talking about today.
So let's say people want more. They read the book and they're like, okay, I got this. What do I do now? Where do they go?
They can go to davidibarra.com, stopdrifting.com, and there you can learn all about the things that we do and provide, from our Think and Grow Rich seminars to our training seminars for automobile new car franchises, to everything that we're involved in. And again, we're involved in 7 different companies, and they're all providing performance services, from software to training to building development. We're involved in a lot of things, and I have a lot of interests. And if there's anything I've probably done wrong, is I'm involved in way too many things, but I sure love getting up in the morning.
Well, I know in your book you talk about nothing happens without action. So it's like we have to get up and get going.
Well, whenever I get sad, and that happens, I spend a lot of time alone privately, and sometimes you get lonely. But when you're lonely, you don't have to be alone. And get up and go do something. Get up and serve somebody. Get up and go to I have my favorite place, the Other Side Academy, which is a drug rehab center. That it's not like others. It's teaching people these principles that I believe in. And when I interact with folks that come with a lot more problems than I ever had, and they're succeeding, you're not in a negative state very darn long.
Oh my goodness, how empowering is that? To be able to spend time and look outside yourself, because I know a lot of people right now are kind of feeling, gosh, loneliness is off the charts. You hear about people really suffering from that, and people are just having a difficult time trying to figure out how they can make an impact or matter.
Well, when COVID came and we were quarantined, and again, I live alone, but I'm busy, so I enjoy living alone. I've been single for 14 years now, 15 years. I got double whammied in that all of a sudden I'm home alone. What am I going to do? And I thought to myself, well, you got to get some action. So I worked on a health program and went from a body fat content of 28 to 5.6 this morning, and finished writing Stop Drifting, and realigned our companies. And the end result was 2020 was the best financial return year in our history. And 2021 is better. So, we get what we think. So be careful of what you think. But when you are alone and you start to feel depressed, get something in motion. And when you do, you'll find your way to happiness real quick.
Yeah, I've often heard that if you are doing law of attraction, you're manifesting away, but you do nothing, the truck's going to come and pick up all your stuff, so you got to get out there.
Like I said, the law of attraction starts with action, the last word within attraction. And when I looked at that movie, The Secret, frankly, I just raised my eyebrows and said, now, if I think it, there's going to be a Ferrari in my driveway? No. If you think you want one and you take the actions to get one, you'll find the reward of financial return to go to the automobile dealership to buy it. It will not appear in your driveway.
A little bit of reality there, right?
That's right.
Well, and I think that that's where people get a little thrown off. They look at law of attraction and go, oh, okay, well, some of that's kind of woo woo, but there are huge business, owners that are using this today to just further develop their business like you.
Well, I tell you is that for me, I always remind myself every morning I go through an exercise. It's a readiness exercise that I read my mission statement out loud, just like Mr. Farrell taught me. I read my short-term goals. I read my standards on voice of the customer, process, profit, and personal development. So I know how I'm scored in my balanced scorecard. I read my 44 things that I must do repetitive, because learning repetition is where success is. And then I open my schedule. Who am I talking to today? What is their expectation? And how can I deliver? So what is that? It's a short exercise of seeding my subconscious. And once I do, its job is to find the opportunity to deliver. And I'm on autopilot for the rest of the day doing positive things. If I skip my readiness level exercise in the morning, then I will drift that day and I won't get much done.
Well, I can't imagine that happening. But, I think it's such a great way to start the day. And I'm sure a lot of people are going, gosh, okay, I need to start a regimen like that, and perhaps you have people that work with you, but I know that you're probably really just booked out probably for about a year. If someone wants to work with you, how could they do that?
Well, they can go on to davidibarra.com, and there is a page there for speaking engagements or just consulting work. I have a host of performance coaches here, and I'll tell you, they've been with me for 11 years. I think the least amount of time is 7 years, and they're very good. So they may not get me all the time, but they'll get a coach that can help them. And if they want me, they'll get me. I'm in businesses every week. I'm speaking somewhere every week. I'm on a podcast almost every 3 days. So it's our mission to get our word out. And that is, how is it that you use the brain model and the formula and use the instructions to the game so that you can play it well? And the game of life, we're not here long. And it ought to matter. And when it does, it's a glorious experience.
Yeah, it's such a great place to start by reading Stop Drifting and being able to move forward and really change your life and change those habits. The habit of just negative thinking and being able to make those shifts. And that's such a big thing.
Well, I tell you what, the mind is amazing. But once you realize that the subconscious does not know the difference between right or wrong, good or bad, it's only going to do what you seeded within it. So be careful of what you think, because you're going to get it. Good or bad.
Good or bad is right. So what final thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I tell you, is that for me, and again, you'll hear me talk about this brain model and understanding the formula of life, but ask yourself a simple question. Everyone listening, what do you want? And write it down. What do you want? Do you want to make an extra $1,000? Do you want to be a happier partner? Do you want to be a better time invested parent? What do you want? Write it down. Keep it simple. And then next, what are you willing to do to get it? And it's 5 or 6 items. And then every morning, seed it in your subconscious of what you're going to do and track it. At the end of the day, have an efficiency. I have an 82% efficiency level of those 44 items I'm supposed to do. And when I know I'm above 68, 70%, I'm living a non-drifting life. So make the choice. Don't drift. Be a non-drifter and get the most out of life. You can do it because I've done it.
Well, you've definitely blazed a trail for many people, David. My goodness, what an inspiration you are. Where can our listeners connect with you again? One more time. What's that website?
davidribarra.com or stopdrifting.com.
You can get there both ways. Well, David, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, thank you for having me here today.
Well, thank you so much, David. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Stop Drifting. Again, if you'd like to connect with David, you can at davidribarra.com for more information. Our next special guest today is Alon Ulman, and he's here to share with us his new book, Success is Not a Fluke: 6 Easy Steps to Achieving Any Goal. Alon has extensive leadership experience. He's an Israeli Naval Lieutenant Colonel in Reserve, Chief Instructor of the Naval Officers Academy, and graduate with honors of the Britain Royal Naval College. Alon has a BA in Economics and an MBA in Business Administration, both with distinction. Now, Alon is a master coach and the creator of the Winner's Code. He has worked with tens of thousands of people and led them to outstanding achievements. So let's welcome to the show, Alon Ulman.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
What a great honor it is to have you here all the way from Israel to talk about this book. I understand your book is like a #1 bestseller in the UK and in Israel. I've got to ask you, what inspired you to write this book at this time?
It took me about 9 years to really write the book. It's a story of my life. And what inspired me, I come from a very humble beginning. I was born in Israel, in the north part of Israel, Haifa, for whom you know. And I served as a commander in the Israeli Navy. I was an operational officer. I was commanding missile ships, and I was the head instructor of the prestigious Israeli Naval Academy course. And, I did what I understood that I had to do in life. I did first degree with honors and second degree with honors. And I graduated the British Royal Navy Academy with honors. And everything seemed, and I had a family and a flat and a bigger flat and a house. But in spite of all this, I did all that I've thought to be or to do in order to be successful. And I was successful, but I wasn't happy. I was feeling dissatisfaction. And one day, something happened that changed my life. One day on a plane, 33,000 above the sea level, we were returning from a vacation abroad. And suddenly I stopped breathing and I didn't know what is it. But a few hours later, I woke up in a hospital and they told me that I'm a medical miracle. What happened is that my lung had collapsed. I had a very rare occasion of lung collapse. 4 years after, it happened again. And 1 year after this, I had a very complex surgery, which they removed 1/3 of my lung. But then, and I'm coming to the point, then in the age of 40, I ran my first marathon. And in the age of 41, I did my first Ironman. You probably have heard of this competition. And actually, my first one was in Arizona, in the United States. And when I crossed the finish line of my first Ironman, it's 226 kilometers, or in the American language, 143 miles. And after I finished, and I crossed the finish line, something happened. This was my moment of revelation. And then I realized my life's purpose. And my life's purpose is, and that's what I'm doing since then, I dedicate my life to explore the DNA of practical success and happiness and making it accessible to people all over the world.
What a great, life journey you've had, and to get to the point where you're helping people discover their own purpose and passion in life. That's got to be so fulfilling.
Yes, because I suddenly, when I was 41, I was still in the Navy. I was 23 years in the Navy. I was apparently, or not apparently, I was successful, but actually, I understood that I don't know to answer a very simple question. what really I want, or what do I want from this life? Because, everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be happy. If you ask someone on the street, what do you want? What do you really want? You say, okay, I want to be happy, of course. So, okay, great. Do you have a plan? Most people, they don't know. And people say, I want to be successful. Okay, great. What is this success for you? Not in Wikipedia. What is it for you? And do you have a plan? And most people don't have. And, most people will invest more time, money, effort, whatever, energy to plan one trip abroad than they will planning on all their lives. But it's not because people are stupid or not because of a lack of talent. It's because they don't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. If you don't see your parents do it, if you don't see your teachers do it. So how are you supposed to know? And then I began my journey. And today we are 14 years after this. And today I founded the Winners Code Group. Today I'm a founder and the owner of the Winners Code Group, which is the largest company in Israel dealing with personal development. I've developed a model, a methodology. It's called also the Winners Code of how to succeed in life. What are the rules of success? And how do you create your desired future? How do you break your boundaries? How do you know what stops you and how to break through it? And what are the habits of the winners, the 10%ers, the 1%ers, and how to implement those habits in our lives. And this is how it began. Today it's 5 companies and it's very successful in the last few years. In Israel number, it's huge. In the last few years, I've helped more than 400,000 people who participated in our seminars, in our lectures. We helped them to achieve their goals and their results with great speed and power. And really, after so many years, once I had a work and then I had a career, and now I am on a mission. I love it. And I'm obsessed with it, to help people. And, my why, you didn't ask me, but I'll tell you my why, because it took me years to find it, to understand it. My why, what motivates me. I want to give people, to make it accessible to people, what I didn't have as a kid, as a young adult. I wasn't exposed, to the best knowledge, systems, methods, roles of model, environments, all those things that people can really fulfill their great potential. And it works. And we can overcome any obstacle or crisis if you understand that this is your partner. So you should invest. And another thing, which is very important. People think that invest in yourself. When we invest, I have a sentence that I say a lot, that invest in yourself until everyone wants to invest in you. Because if you invest in yourself, in your, how do you look, your fitness, your career, everything. So your spouse have a great asset. You are the asset.
It's interesting when people look at success, it means many different things for many different people. So do you find that when you're working with people that maybe success to them is a happy marriage and other people, success to them is kind of reaching the top of their corporate ladder?
What I found with people, the most common thing is that people really, they don't know. Because, it sounds funny when I say, okay, but most people spend more time watching TV than they spend time on define what is success for them. Okay, most people, and it's amazing, but that's how it is. That most people, even successful people in career or such, they have goals and they have goals in their career, but they don't. Usually, most people, about 90%, they don't say, I will say it differently. there's a kind of an urban legend, yes, that what differentiates people successful than not successful, that people that are successful have goals. The people that are not successful don't have goals. But really, the matter of the fact is that everyone has goals, but it's the difference, the big difference, is the level of the awareness of the goals. And I'll explain. You know, many people, too many people, have goals that they are not aware of the goals. For example, how many people that we know, their goal is to pay the bills. You know, they say to pay the bills. And you know, they do many things in order to be able to pay the bills. And okay, so this is called, I call it in the book, A goals, B goals, and C goals. That this is something that people do again and again and again, like pay the bills. Okay, pay the bills. And if you succeed or if you achieve your goals, so what? Did you ever see a person jumping out of his bed at 6 o'clock in the morning with great energy and said to his kid or to someone, yes, we are going to have a perfect day. Yes, what a wonderful world. We are going to pay the bills today. That's great. You see, this is not the energy of those targets or goals. And there are people who achieve B goals. B goals, A is what I know I can achieve. B is what I think that I can achieve, okay? I think I can achieve. Why do I think like this? Because, you know, people in my environment, in my neighborhood, in my class, whatever, my neighbors, they've done it. Let's say, for example, to do a degree, first degree, second degree in the university, okay? So if all your friends have done it, you think you can do it, and you do it. And this is good. You advance yourself. Yes, you accumulate whatever, degrees, money, status, but this is not the happiness, because we say to ourselves, we will work hard, and then we do a degree. And even if you finish, you know, with distinction or with honors, you sit in the ceremony, and this is what happened to me. I finished with honors the first degree and then the second degree. And I sat in the ceremony and I said to myself, now happiness will come. I have reached my goal. Now happiness will come. And you know what comes when you reach those kinds of goals. It's good. It's okay, but it's not the happiness goals, because what comes to mind when you reach this top, this peak, this mountain you climb, what pops in your head is, okay, great, okay, we will rest for a week, and then what? And what now? This kind of, so this is typical for big goals. But what we really want, this is called a C goal, okay, or a peak goal, which is what we really want. And how do you know if it's a goal that you really want it? It has some parameters. When you think about a goal like this is something that you want, you don't know why, but you want it, you desire it. And in the same time, it makes two kinds of feelings. At the one hand, it makes you excitement. You're very excited to do it. And on the other hand, fear pops up. Because if you don't fear, it's more of the same. And those are, for example, and excitement, fear, and I don't know how to do it. This is how it begins. Those are things like doing or participating in an Ironman competition, becoming financial free. Those are kinds of goals like this. But if you speak about success, what is success to people? If I can draw it to you, I explain it in the book, and also I have a drawing. I draw a drawing in the book. You know, there are many definitions of success, and happiness comes not from being better not from being the best. not from being number one in the world. It comes from progress, from being every day better than we were yesterday. And there is a route that we can go in order to do it. Because, if we talk about success, there are many theories about success. Most of them, they say the same thing. And it goes like this. Imagine a figure. Okay, on the one hand, it calls me now. I call it me now. Me now stands for, it's a very complex function of whatever, all that we have now. How do I look? Everyone has a starting point, which is today. How do I look? What is how my relationship looks like? What is the level of, how much money do I have in the bank? How many words do I know in Hebrew? What is my vocabulary in English? How many words do I know in English? How many assets do I have? My financial wealth, my health, my fitness. It's many, many, many parameters. How do my kids talk to me? Everything, it's an accumulative function that says, who am I today? Everyone has it, okay? And everyone also have a bigger version of himself. I call it the big I, big version, better version. Okay, everyone has this. And what's interesting is that not so many people, it seems to be very natural that if you live on this planet, there are people that every year, every 5 years, every 10 years you meet them, they are in a better condition. They look better, they have more money, they have a better role in their career, they have better marriage with their spouse and whatever. Because they progress, they grow, they have a growth mindset, and they do it. And about 10-20% do it naturally. They are natural achievers. And about 3%, between 3 to 4%, they do it from a high awareness. They do it with many things, let's say like the things we do, seminars and annual programs and stuff like this. And most people, and it's said, because everyone can do it. Let's take, for example, a kid. If you send a kid to first grade, and then you take him after 12 years in the 12th grade, he's not the same kid. He for sure grows. He grows, for sure. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But let's take an adult. Let's take a person, a man, who is 40, and 12 years pass. And now he's 52. 12 years. 12 years is an enormous amount of time. If you grow every day, after 12 years, you are better in every aspect or condition of your life. But if you don't grow, and now you see some people, and that's what we do, we help people to go on this route because there are only, and this is the essence of the winner's code, okay? This is really the essence because the question is, when I developed my model, my system of the winner's code, I ask myself, okay, if all those theories about success said this, that everyone can grow, and only a little amount of people or a small percentage really do it, so what is the reason? What is the chronic problem? Or what are the barriers to success? So the first barrier is people don't know the rules. Then they don't know what they want, or they don't know how to define it. The third one is all of us, people are afraid. We have this kind of fear, and we have to understand what is real fear and what is perceived fear. And actually, we have a whole chapter about how to understand what really stops us. Because, people, they stay in their convenient zone. In the long term, who doesn't, the one who is not willing to pay the price, he won't get the life he wants. So the third barrier is fear, and there are ways to understand what stops us, what are the most common fears, what stops us, and then I have the formula, the 6-step formula of, this is in this chapter when I teach it, how to overcome your fear and how to really break through your fears and what stops us, what's holding us back.
Well, thank you, Alon, for going over that. My goodness, what an inspiration you are. I felt your book, Success is Not a Fluke, was such a great read. It had so much good information in it. Thank you so much for taking the time to be able to share with us here today.
I want to thank you very much for having me on your show, on your great show. I see you have a very great, very interesting guests before me. It's a great show.
Well, thank you, Alon. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Success is Not a Fluke. Success is Not a Fluke and Stop Drifting are available everywhere books are sold. And remember, support our indie bookstores. We're at the end of our time today. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.